Hey everyone, Christy here for my week 43 Project Life process video. Thought I would start off with showing you again some of the products I hope to use for this layout. The products you see me showing right now are from Gossamer Blue, and this is just some of my stash that I dug out. In the top part of your screen you can see parts of little bowls there. So I usually just kind of go through my bowls when I have a minute or two and just dig out embellishments from the colors that I know I'll be using. So in this layout there's quite a lot of colors that I'm using. I'm using pinks, blues, yellows, oranges, and some green. And if you follow me on Instagram, you'll know that this week I made some vellum hearts. I'd been seeing them a lot from Studio Calico, had them as an add-on in May, or maybe even April, and they sold out, but they've been popping up in my Instagram feed everywhere, and everyone's been using them, so I thought that I would just make my own using my Cricut. So as you know from previous videos that I've done, I always start with like one card, and I started my inspiration for the colors that I'm using started with the card in the top left hand corner. That's from Gossamer Blue. This week's layout is kind of a split 50-50 as for cards that I used. Half of them are Gossamer Blue and half of them are Studio Calico. And the colors complemented each other pretty nicely. It is quite a lot more colors than I usually do use. I kind of try to limit myself to like 2 or 3 main colors, and this week's spread is a lot of different colors. So there's a lot going on, a lot of embellishments. In the embellishments that you saw at the beginning, I don't end up using like any of the embellishments from Gossamer Blue. I just mainly pick from my stash, and those vellum hearts, I really wanted to try and use those. So you'll see those kind of scattered throughout my layout. On the left hand side is the back of a design A, and on the right hand side I believe is a design W. So it's kind of like a design A, except in the middle section it does have that 4x6 pocket instead of the 2 3x4 pockets. So I laid out all my cards and photos. Now I'm corner rounding. I did a little bit of matting of the photos there. I do have a Canon selfie, so it does print a little bit smaller than true 4x6, and so I do end up matting a few of the photos every week. And I just like how it brings in the colors as well, like an additional place to bring in the colors to kind of tie it all in, tie it all together a little bit more. So I'm digging through my stash now, my pile, that huge pile of embellishments, and just kind of placing things where I think I want them. This week's a little bit different because I kind of have 2 cards that could both work as my weekly title card. And because I picked these cards for the layout like such a long time ago, almost a month ago, I'm not quite sure why I did that. Maybe I didn't have another photo to go into that extra 4x6 spot. So the card in the top left hand corner with all the little flowers actually ends up being more of like a filler card. And then the pink May 2015 card ends up being my weekly title card. So I'm just kind of going through now and laying things out. I do like to have like cohesiveness throughout the layout. So because I wanted to use that yellow Our Day sticker, I also opted to use that kind of bluey memory sticker on the right hand page, and that just kind of ties it all together. I really love this card that I'm putting on top of the filler card there. It has like this little heart cutout, and I wish I knew where it came from because I really do love that feature of the little cutout, but I got it in a pocket letter, so I'm not even sure which kit it's from, but it's really, really beautiful. So I just wanted to make a note of my color system, I guess. So not too long ago I decided just to take the plunge and organize all my embellishments by color. So each bowl has like its own color, I guess, assigned color. And I find that I'm using a lot more of my embellishments in organizing it that way. It's not so overwhelming, and I can really find what I'm looking for and use it kind of more appropriately. So for example, that picture of my daughter with a book, that round circle, it says smart cookie. It would be perfect. Like, it's perfect for that photo. And I might not have remembered that I had that embellishment when it was kind of in my old system, just kind of like in a heap of all mixed colors. So I find it really helps in really kind of rediscovering those embellishments that you might have forgotten about. Now you see that I kind of dug out that, I don't even know what it's called. It's like this red ribbon. I know it's not ribbon. I don't know what it's called. Anyway, this red string thing I had gotten in a rack, I believe. And so I just kind of dug it out, and I kind of liked the challenge of using it in my layout. So I do end up using it in two different spots. And it's not really a traditional type of embellishment that I would normally choose to use in my layouts, but I really like the way it did end up turning out. And just, when I first received it in a rack, I was like, oh, I'm never going to use this. But I put it in with my red colors of embellishments and just dug it out. And like I said, I just really kind of, and I ended up using it, which I was surprised that I did. And I liked how it turned out. The letters, the alphabet letters that you see me using right now are from Studio Calico, and they're kind of like a vellum. And there was three colors in the pack, so kind of like a pinky red, and then this blue color and a yellow color. And I end up using all three of the colors in my layout, but they don't really stick very well, so I do end up bringing out my sewing machine and sewing them on because they just like peel up really, really easily. And so yeah, here I am again playing around with that red ribbon. It's kind of more like a fabric texture to it, and just kind of debating if I want to use it kind of like at the top and the bottom as like a border, or just kind of a kind of more of an underlining technique. So using my tiny attacher to attach that down, and then I just use some washi on the back to secure the tail of the ribbon there. And I'm not quite sure where I want these alphas, so I just play around with it yet again. If you've learned one thing about me, it's that I'm extremely indecisive and cannot make up my mind. So I'm hoping that other people are also like that in their project life. But, I watch these process videos as well, and it just seems like people instinctually know, like, oh, I'm going to put this there, and I'm going to put this there, and it has a way of really turning out beautiful. I'm not like that. I kind of tinker around a lot, and yeah, just like I said, very indecisive. So I'm hoping other people are also like that. It's not that easy, and if you knew how long I sit there and look at it and, edit that out, then you would be here for quite some time. But I also watch process videos, and I know how boring it can be to just sit there and watch people tap their fingers or talk when there's like a blank screen, and it just drives me crazy. So I do keep you in mind. If there's anything else that you want me to like cut out, like if you don't really want to watch me corner around or tinker around as much, please, please, please let me know, because I will not be offended. I understand your pain. So anyways, I am kind of just at a standstill here. So I move on from that card. I had laid down those two vellum hearts and just kind of let them sit there to see what I like, if I like them there or not, and just kind of moved on to that card and just tacking some stuff down. I often do that, like if I get stuck, I just kind of leave things and move on to things that I know are ready to be attached down, or things that need to be cut up or whatever. So my video jumps now to my sewing machine. I did end up finishing up a different card there with that red ribbon that you'll see shortly. But those of you watching this now and judging my sewing skills, that is totally fine by me. I just got my sewing machine this past October. I had never used a sewing machine before that. So you might be watching this and saying, "What are you doing?" But I, you know, don't really know what I'm doing. So anyway, I'm sewing down the letters now, and you'll see me using that sewing around the border there of this heart card really messily, and I did that intentionally. I wanted it to look really messy. I wanted to go around several times. I knew I wanted it to look that way, and I really liked the way it turned out. It is a little bit more messy than I would have liked, but I think it just kind of adds a little bit more character to the layout. So I end up sewing all the letters down, and I end up sewing around the edge of this one card. And I also wanted to bring a little bit more sewing to the right hand side of the layout. So I decide to just kind of sew up and down on this one card. And I like the way that looks. It's a little bit difficult to see on the card, and I'm sorry about that. Also sorry that at this point in time, for some reason my camera has shifted a little bit, so it's a little bit more difficult to see the left-hand side of the layout, but trust me, you're not really missing all that much. Adding some more embellishments now, really committing to where these things are going, and I discovered a few more little embellishments to kind of just bring the colors together a little bit more. So when creating like a cluster of embellishments, I like to use like at least 2, probably 3 colors just to kind of tie it all together. So where that says Hello Memories, it had like the 2 different sorts of blues. I ended up matting the navy blue hello embellishment just with a little bit of pink just to kind of bring it together. And here again in the card I'm working on now, it has the yellows, it has the greens, and it has the pink. So again, 3 colors just to kind of bring it all together. Securing down this sticker now, just kind of playing with the placement. Really playing with the placement. Thankfully those stickers didn't stick very well initially, but they're tacked down now. Adding a little bit of a label for some journaling. Had lots of journaling spots this week for like larger sections of journaling, so I didn't really feel the need to do a bunch of labels like you've seen me do in past weeks. A lot of the photos, there's multiple photos for like one event, so each event will kind of get its own journaling card, and that will cover my bases a little bit better than like just doing individual labels on pictures. Securing down that smart cookie embellishment, I played around a little bit with maybe matting it with white so that it had a little bit more pop, but decided just to leave it as is. And now I'm kind of working on this filler card. Those doilies and pretty much all the doilies that you've seen me use in past videos are from Michaels. And if they're not from Michaels, then they're from Freckled Fawn. And the odd one might have come with like a Studio Calico kit, but for the most part, and I know for a fact that this yellow doily is from Michaels, and I end up using it in 2 spots just to kind of bring it together a bit. And now you know I'm ready for some date stamping, so I use the Collect app and just check my dates, and sometimes I even add a little bit of journaling in the Collect app just to kind of remember what we were doing or what my daughter did and that sort of thing. So just going through and date stamping. Like I said, a lot of the photos have like multiple photos cover multiple events, so I did a lot of date stamping on the journal cards themselves and not like directly on the photos for this week. Skipping through my journaling now, you don't need to watch that. There was quite a bit of journaling as I mentioned, so I skipped through that for you. And then I'm on my last little bit of embellishing. decided to secure those vellum hearts a little bit higher in the layout, or sorry, not in the layout, on the card there, and just use my tiny attacher. And then decided that that cluster needed a little bit more something, so added a few more vellum hearts. So I'm pretty happy with how those vellum hearts turned out. Had dug out my Cricut, hadn't been used in like years, not even exaggerating. Um, and just look through my cartridges to see if I had a heart, not like a traditional heart, like symmetrical, but more elongated. And I did. One of my cartridges did. I believe it was the cartridge I used was called Accents, Essential Accents, or Accent. I don't know. If you check my Instagram, there's a picture of it on there. And yeah, it worked out pretty good with the vellum hearts. So I'm just adding some enamel dots now. I don't go too crazy this week with the enamel dots, but again, just kind of bringing in the colors a bit more. But yeah, that's it. Thank you so much for watching, and I appreciate all the feedback that you leave me. Thanks so much. Bye.